You're listening to the True Crime Nation podcast with Todd and Brian. If you're enjoying the show, email us at truecrimenation@outlook.com. Let's start the show.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
James, thanks for coming on and talking to us today.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
You had an interesting thing happen to you, a crime-related issue for sure. We had been talking, and I was kind of shocked at what had happened, and we wanted to get you on and hear what went down. So could you take us into it, tell us what happened to you?
I was in a semi. I'm a truck driver by trade, and so was my son. We were in Albuquerque, New Mexico, heading for Rancho Cucamonga, California. And my son was driving. I had just gotten up, just lit a cigarette, just kind of getting woke up a little bit. And two semis had crossed the median illegally, two tractor trailers. And the one guy out of the one semi that did that started road raging with my son. And again, I'm just waking up. And he, at one point during the road rage, had come up on our right side, almost door to door, but a little bit short of door to door. And I looked over my right shoulder at him, and I saw the window down on the driver's side window. And I noticed right away a black semi-automatic handgun. And basically what I did was I responded like anybody probably would. He's got a gun that rolled to my left, dove between the seats going to the bunk. We don't know exactly how many shots there were, but we believe somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 10. They recovered 3 bullets in the truck later. One was lodged in my shoulder. I was hit, struck, and taken to UNM, as they call it there in Albuquerque, University of New Mexico, via ambulance. And police were everywhere looking for this guy. Of course, we did have him on 911 originally. And then we let the police handle it from there.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah, just kind of like the photos I sent you guys. Those are all original photos. That's actually what went down, how it went down. It actually happened very fast. Like I said, I was just getting up, just trying to wake up when this all went down.
Yeah, wake up to getting shot.
Yeah, that's quite a wake up call.
Was these guys driving a semi as well?
Oh boy!
Did you say they were driving a semi too?
Yep. Breed of people they're putting in trucks, semis. They're not real professionals.
Yep.
So how many guys were there in the truck?
Well, we only saw one person, so we don't know if they were running team or not. The police would know that. They did track that vehicle later on. There was quite a problem with getting that tracked immediately with cooperation from the company. But we only saw one perpetrator in the truck. That was the driver.
Did they catch this guy?
No, they have not. And they even stated on the scene that with today's technology, there was no way out. They would catch him, but they did not catch him. They have not caught him yet. To the best of our knowledge, he's still employed with the same company. And we don't have ways of actually verifying that, but that's what we're told through sources and talking to other drivers from that company is that he's still employed there and still running the nation's highways and byways. And we had run into another driver immediately after that, within a short, couple hour period probably. And that driver told us he recognized the driver, he recognized the truck, he knew him by name, he had actually trained him. And he said he had told the company that this guy is a loose cannon, you shouldn't keep him on board, you should get rid of him. And then he told us about the incident, that he made us aware of an incident that took place while he was training this guy, and told us what had happened. And he said, while he was training him, the guy got mad or pissed off at a car for whatever reason going down the road, and he took a hammer from between the seats and threw it out the window and smashed the window out of the car going down the road. Yeah, and we actually relayed that to the police right away, so the police could make contact with that driver and get some more information on this guy.
So they have this guy's name. They know who this guy is.
They do. They have multiple warrants for him, and several are felony warrants. Attempted homicide from a motor vehicle, 2 attempted murder charges. I don't know the extent of the rest of the charges, but they did lay more charges on him later. That's what they told us.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be some federal handgun charges in there.
Yeah, they end up tracking that vehicle is what they told us. They do give us limited info, but they told us that they have his name. They know who he is. They tracked his truck to verify that it was originally going eastbound on I-40 before they illegally crossed over through the median to go westbound. Now, we take it that they might have gone the wrong direction, like they'd just gotten up or something, and somehow they got on the freeway going the wrong way, so they just decided to take it upon themselves, cut through the median. But they had tracked all this vehicle and verified all that part of the story as well, and then tracked the vehicle after we had been shot at and pursued him, which we did. But then we gave up the chase because his truck was faster than ours. But they also tracked him going, turning around off an off ramp and going back eastbound again. And then we later found out that he went backcountry highways and byways to his terminal in Bakersfield, California, and left and abandoned his equipment, his personal belongings, the whole 9 yards, and went off the radar.
So they can't find him.
Apparently, yet today they have not been able to locate him. We suspect possibly that he's hiding somewhere, or maybe he's in another country. We don't know, but such as Mexico. But it would seem to me that if he went across the border, they would have a way of tracking that and knowing that.
Do you think he knows he shot you?
Oh, he definitely knows. He blew out the windows in our semi. He punctured several holes. It was a 9mm handgun, come to find out. Was used in the commission of the crime. But with several bullet holes in our truck and blowing out the windows, that kind of thing, he's well aware of what he did.
Wow.
That's scary to know that there's people out there traveling the highways doing that. I mean, it's just, you got to be so aware and alert these days when you're out there.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that this kind of thing would go on, especially from what most people would consider a professional standpoint as a professional driver. And that a fellow driver would do something like this. But, not that I want to badmouth the trucking industry, because I've been in it, as of next month, I've been in it 31 years.
Wow, congrats.
They're bringing so many people that are unskilled, untrained, and just finding a way to get them a Class A CDL and put them in a truck.
Yep.
That they anymore, and they've had their attitude for years that is better than nobody, So.
Yeah, just warm bodies, man. They're low on truck drivers everywhere, and they're throwing money at these guys.
Yeah, it's a nationwide
for them.
Yeah, well, and even not that I'm trying to badmouth anybody or say anything negative, but even people coming out of prison who have a criminal history, it's well known within the industry, even though they try to keep it quiet and deny it and that kind of thing. It's well known that, hey, come right out the door, they've been incarcerated for X amount of years, or maybe, a really extensive period of time of 20, 30 years, flashing a banner in front of them. Hey, you want to be a truck driver? You want to make some good money? Which you can make good money. It's been very good to me, but so they're, it doesn't really matter what kind of criminal record they have. A lot of these companies are self-insured. So they don't have to go through a lot of hurdles and hoops that other companies would have to go through and meet certain criteria. So they're able to just basically throw anybody in a truck. As long as they can get them a CDL, doesn't mean they can drive good, doesn't mean they can back good, doesn't mean they can do the job good at all. But here it is. You want it? You know what I mean? So it's very appealing to somebody to come out of prison, nowadays, or the criminal justice system, who's been incarcerated, and they're flashing a banner in front of them going, hey, you want to make $85,000 to $100,000 a year starting out, and you'll automatically have a place to live, and I can work with your probation officer or parole officer or whatever you might have going on, and we can get this taken care of, and it won't be a problem, blah, 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 blah. And they just, there you go.
Wow.
Here's your paperwork, here's the load, have a good trip. And they start them off that way, which isn't nothing like they used to start us off, and all the things were done. So
that's a perfect storm just waiting to happen. There's nothing worse than putting a felon behind a semi wheel that has road rage, in my opinion.
Well,
yeah, that's one of the things that I had discussed.
Not just a felon. I mean, there's regular people that are crazy. That shouldn't be behind the wheel.
Right. It's bad enough that, exactly. It's bad enough that, you have people that have issues, but when you put them in an 80,000 pound semi or more if they're a multi-axle and heavy haul situation, carrying over dimensional loads and permits and all that kind of stuff. But your average truck's 5-axle, 80,000 pounds. You put somebody in a 40-ton wrecking machine, and they can wreak a lot of havoc.
Before we go any further, do we want to mention this gentleman's name in case people listening might know this guy or know where he's at to help find him? Or would you rather not?
We only know him as Bobby. Yeah, it's okay. We only know him as Bobby. Law enforcement won't give us his name because they're, concerned about retaliation, which that's not going to happen. But we only know him as Bobby and a description of what he looked like, because it all happened so fast. But we don't have his full name. We know the company he drives for, or did then when that happened, I should say. The police are well aware of that. Like I said, they've got the tracking, the unit number, the company name, the whole 9 yards. So, shortly after it happened, let me put it that way. Yes, we were very hot, very bitter, but let law enforcement handle it.
Right.
So when did this how long ago did this happen?
This happened May 5th of 2022 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is Bernalillo County, New Mexico.
So about 5 months ago.
Yeah, so that wasn't very long.
Yeah, approximately. Yeah, approximately. And about 5 weeks ago, I had the bullet removed finally. So,
I was going to say you're doing pretty well for getting shot, first of all, in 5 months especially. I was just wondering, why do you think they waited so long to remove the bullet?
Well, that wouldn't be on them. That would be on me.
Okay.
I had a very, very busy schedule coming up, and I did not want to destroy my summer. And I had a lot of plans with my wife and grandkids, and it's getting in, I live in northern Michigan where, you run into the fall, the cold weather, the snow is coming. We had a lot of plans for the summer. We travel to a certain destination. Yeah, we leave our camper there for the summer. We spend a lot of time with family and friends and hanging out and bonfires, that kind of thing. And the wife has the weekends off, so we go spend a lot of time together enjoying life. And I didn't want to ruin all that. I didn't know how long I'd be laid up. If I had the surgery, if I had the bullet removed, we could have done it at University of New Mexico. But they told me it was non-life threatening. And we discussed it a little bit there at the hospital. And I took it upon myself, and I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let it ruin my year or my summer, or however one might want to look at it or say it. So I opted to wait and have it removed later. Unless it was causing a problem or something like that I just could not function, period, then I would just opt to have it removed later, which is what I did. And then we had to go through a chain of custody, as they call it, for the protocols of the bullet being removed. So I had to, be in contact with a detective back here in northern Michigan who made all their contacts and hurdles and legalities of protocol that they had to do, who would come film it, which I didn't know that would happen, but they had to come film it, my bullet being removed, and take immediate possession, and then be able to follow the guidelines of protocol, send it back to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where this happened, so that they would have that bullet and be able to use the ballistics off it or whatever they're going to do in their process for doing all that. So that's how later on how that went down. And you can't just have a bullet removed. You can't just walk into ER. Of course, they're going to think maybe you were involved in a burglary or a car heist or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, right. For sure.
So I had to get everybody on board, make sure they all had contact with the detectives and all the police out there in the Albuquerque area. And that chain of custody had to happen to make sure that bullet could be used as evidence, even though they had recovered multiple bullets from the truck, inside the truck. They still had one. With that one, they had to be able to match it up in the ballistics or whatever they do with all that stuff, and have that follow a chain of custody so it could be used in a criminal matter.
That's just crazy that this stuff goes on out there. And So you guys were chasing this guy down after this happened for a little bit. That was the first thing you guys were doing, or were you calling 911 at the same time? I'm sure probably was going on.
Yeah, we had with both our camera phones, we had 911 on one phone. We were taking multiple pictures, that kind of thing, videos, what was going on, what was transpiring. We did, in fact, I'll openly admit, we pursued, we chased the individual, but it became so. I should say, he became so reckless and running people off the road. We were in a 4-lane highway. He's so reckless, going from lane 3 or 4, dodging all these lanes back and forth, that he just all of a sudden bail off an exit and he's running people off the road. So I was kind of adamant at that point with my son, who was driving, give up pursuit, just stop chasing him. Of course, we were both very angry, very upset, but I just told him to stop the pursuit, let the police handle it. He's going to kill somebody the way he's driving. It's not worth it. I don't want somebody innocent getting harmed or killed. It's just not worth it.
Right.
Obviously, he didn't have any care for human life at that point. Do you know what this guy? Do you remember what he looked like?
Oh yeah. Those details, I can only give a certain amount. According to the police, they don't want me to release too much.
Right.
Although I firmly believe the police completely mishandled it. That's my position and many others' position, but that's just my position.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything that would hinder the investigation or interrupt it in any manner or hinder it.
Oh yeah.
But we definitely know what the guy looks like. And then, oddly enough, as bizarre as this is, and I have all the messages I could show, which I've already sent those to detectives and my attorney, the whole 9 yards. I was contacted roughly a month later from a fake account, which come to find out was a fake account. It was actually the perpetrator, is what the police told me. This is the perpetrator trying to throw us all off the track here, because they're hot on his trail. But I was contacted and sent a picture and the name of the person, their driver's license, the whole 9 yards. That's not the person that they have a warrant for, that we recognize to be the perpetrator. So the perpetrator apparently made a fake account, was sending me messages out of the blue through Messenger, and making an attempt to throw us off track about who the person was and where they might be and this kind of stuff. And it's kind of went into a pretty extensive chat there for a bit. The police looked into it right away. They found it quite interesting and openly admitted that's not the perpetrator. That's not the one we have a warrant for. So we got to figure out what's going on here. And they alerted me this could be the perpetrator, which I suspected it might be too. I just had no way of knowing. But they did get back with me and they told me the one that's contacted you is giving you false information. It's the perpetrator.
You would think that Facebook and whoever could track who that person really was, somehow, some way, or what computer it was set up on.
Facebook ain't gonna do shit.
No, they're
not. Yeah, the police said that they, with today's technology of the internet and their internet crime task force that are all over the United States, they said they were able to quickly determine this was a fake account, and it probably almost 100% certainty had to be the perpetrator just trying to throw people off. It didn't work. Did not work. They just kind of giggle like, nice try.
Yeah. Man.
The way that the company responded, to this was really out of line on how they handled it when they were first contacted, which my son and I were both there. There was crime scene detectives going over the truck, the whole 9 yards. But the company was contacted on the scene. They hung up on the police not once, but twice. And then another police officer called them and kind of chewed their ass out and said, look, if you don't cooperate, you're hindering an investigation. We will send people in California. We will contact law enforcement there and have them come over and start arresting everybody in the office until we figure out what's going on here, because you're hindering and interrupting an investigation of an active shooter. And since then, I don't know to what degree that company has cooperated much better, is what I was told by the detective, than what they initially did. Though they were put on notice through my attorney of civil suit remedies, because they would be liable for their driver and the damages that he caused while employed with them during the scope of his employment. They responded to nothing, of course, but just how they handled it when that went down was just totally wrong.
Well, yeah, if they obviously know who the guy is, as you said. They just can't find this guy, and it's been at least 4 months for them searching for this guy.
Right.
It's kind of scary to know, like I said, that there's people out there that are roaming around that are doing this stuff. That's not going to be the last thing he does if they don't catch him, I'm sure.
And the employers that'll cover for him. What kind of company is that?
Yes. Even at one point, the detective told me that the company was asking the detectives, and when it suddenly became required at one point, should we keep them employed? The police were like, well, we can't direct you on that. That's not a wise idea to even ask us that. And I don't know why one would think that, maybe it's okay to even keep them employed. But So the detective said, you do what you got to do with it. You know what I mean? But we're not going to advise you on that. But if it was us, no, we wouldn't keep them employed. Obviously not.
So what happens now? You just guys wait to see if they find this guy, and
See what happens.
would there be a trial, you think? Or?
Yeah. They openly admitted, from what limited info we do get, they openly admitted that there is a fugitive task force in Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, that works directly. I think it's like an 8-man team that works directly with the police. They're a conglomerate or conjunction of like multi-jurisdictional task force that works directly with the ATF, the U.S. Marshals, all that kind of thing. So they said, when we know basically where he's at, we won't announce it, obviously, but we would hand those warrants over to them. They would go pick this guy up. And it just kind of left it at that. And once we hand it over to them, it becomes theirs to handle. And it doesn't matter if he's in Florida, it doesn't matter if he's in Alaska, it doesn't matter where he's at. We will go get him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the main thing is you're okay, and you're here talking to us today, which we appreciate.
Looks like you're recovering pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate. To be honest, I know I'm fortunate in many levels, but I was fortunate enough that I happened to look to my right and see his window down and see the black semi-automatic handgun to be able to warn my son and dive to the left. He's got a gun. He's got a gun. And boom, simultaneously, multiple shots were fired, rapid succession. But if I had not seen that gun, that weapon, there's probably no way either one of us would be alive.
Yeah, that's just scary to even think about.
It's amazing that stuff goes on, but it does. It's real,
And just like this information I had supplied you guys to be able to verify it, it's all on record. There's nothing that's disputable about it. And even the police said, after they come across the 4 lanes of traffic like that illegally, that doesn't matter if we had even flipped them off or anything that would have transpired from any of the vehicles. It doesn't matter. That would not justify anybody pulling out a weapon and using it and firing at people.
Right. Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I'm a CPL holder, have been for years. I was also at one point I moonlighted as a deputy. I was considered changing careers. That was a lot of years ago, but I've carried a handgun, and there's a lot of controversy about this. Okay, about even having a weapon in the vehicle, and there's no law that says you cannot carry a weapon in a commercial vehicle. Although you do have to go by each state's laws that you're passing through. And many states are under reciprocity, what they call reciprocity, to begin with.
Right.
So we've carried a handgun for years, and as oddly as it is, maybe bizarre as it sounds, that day in particular, my son and I, neither one of us were carrying. And it was just a weird coincidence because that is extremely rare that neither one of us had our pistols on us or weapons on us like we normally would. He doesn't realize how lucky he is. The cops openly stated, which we already knew, because we're very into the laws, so we know that we're legal or not. And if we're not legal, we wouldn't do something. But they openly admitted, yes, you could. You'd have every right to have a handgun in the truck. That's your right, and we're under reciprocity here in New Mexico. But had we had a handgun, or both of us had a handgun, I would have quickly retreated, given the circumstances. I was actually in the bunk, being bounced around, my son was trying to dodge this guy. I was looking for my handgun, and suddenly I realized, shit, I forgot my handgun. I'd forgotten that I forgot it. It was at home. Normally, I have my own assigned truck. That handgun always stays in my truck. And that day, neither one of us had our handgun on us. And had we had our handgun on us, it would have been a totally different scenario. The cops only admitted you'd had every right to use lethal force. That's under imminent threat, which is blatantly obvious. Oh, yeah. It's his lucky day. We weren't carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have shot him? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could have solved that crime right away.
Absolutely. And it would have been a totally different scenario for the police to have to handle, because now you're out in a situation where maybe if we'd returned fire and shot the perpetrator, killed him, they'd have a totally different scene on their hands, yes. But this guy would no longer be a threat either.
Right.
To society.
Well, you had every right to. I mean, he shot you, so you could have definitely just let him have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes...
As soon as he displayed a weapon and or capped around it, they would have been game on, imminent threat,
Yep.
Yeah, I don't carry my handgun as much as I should. I really should start carrying it more. I have it with me in my truck, but a lot of times I won't put it on when I walk in places, and I probably should start doing that more, because there's just some crazy people out there just doing crazy things nowadays.
That there is.
Oh, absolutely. I've carried for years. I usually, because a lot of states are not an open carry state, Michigan is, always has been. They're simply because there's no law on the books saying you can't. Put it that way. But for years and years and years, over 20 years, maybe 25 years, I've carried. And actually, I've carried before the CPO, as we call it here in Michigan, concealed pistol license. I carried before that because Michigan has always been an open carry state, and I knew some laws from being a deputy, moonlighting as a deputy. So I've carried for a lot of years, and that was a very rare situation that neither one of us were carrying that day, only because we had so much going on when we left. Our truck was on with us, and I did not have my own assigned truck at that point. I was going through a transition of getting a new truck.
I was in my son's truck with him on a run, and that's when all this had taken place and went down. And that was the only reason that we didn't have our weapons on us that day. We both left in kind of a hurry, had a lot going on. And it was just luck for him, for the perpetrator, that neither one of us were carrying, because the cops had openly stated more than once that we'd have been well within our rights under an imminent threat to return fire and or shoot or kill the victim or the perpetrator, excuse me. So,
yeah, I would say definitely you would have all the rights in the world, and him, throwing lead at you guys like that. What was, before this ever happened, James, did you ever have anything else crazy happen to you while you're driving all those years? You had to have other kind of incidences going on.
Yeah, actually, I've had quite a few. I mean, I hadn't really thought about that, but probably 3 to 5 years before that, my wife and I were running a team. There's a cut across from I-90 corridor that cuts up through on US 212 and cuts across to near Hardin, Montana. And I was driving along one afternoon in broad daylight, and I had heard a pop off in the distance, more of a muffled sound, but I quickly realized what it was. And we were shot at. That's all on report. I guess after the troopers and the sheriff's department, some tribal police, some other ones showed up for that one, which is all on record. They said it's real common out there that the tribal have an issue with the traffic that goes across 212, either direction, east or west, and that a lot of people have been shot at through the years and or wounded or killed, and which was quite shocking to me because in all of my years of running that, which had been too many times to recount, I'd never had that happen, but I did hear the pop and momentarily, and then which was the report, and it blew out the driver's side window of the Freightliner semi that we were driving, and blew glass all over me and the inside of the truck, the whole 9 yards. But they never did recover a bullet from that one. Really kind of freaked my wife out really bad in that. But I guess I took it more with a grain of salt because I've seen so much stuff during the 30 plus years of my career.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
I would strongly encourage anybody that knows the perpetrator, knows his whereabouts, or if the perpetrator himself is listening, I would strongly encourage you to turn yourself in. It's not going to do you any justice to continue running.
Right.
And they do have his name. They know who he is. They just can't locate him at this time, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It's my understanding they know exactly who he is. They've traced his whereabouts for several hours before, prior to the incident, and then several hours after. And then they verified that he, what he had done with the vehicle, the tractor trailer, all that, and then got a different phone or phone number, there, combinations thereof, and went off the grid, basically.
All right. Well, we hope our listeners can help us out here with the situation.
Hopefully somebody listening will know something.
Well, hopefully, someone's able to, call the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office and or detectives and report anonymously or otherwise, because this, according to our understanding of this individual, it's not the first time that this individual has done things of this nature and placed people in harm and or possibly killed people.
Yeah, this guy definitely doesn't need to be out on the highways. No way.
No.
Well, not only does he not need to be roaming amongst the highways and in society in general, but when you factor in the idea of a commercial vehicle that's upwards of 75 feet long, connected to a trailer that's 53 foot long, and something that's 102 inches wide, 8.5 feet, that's 13.6 high, 80,000 pounds. That's definitely no place for somebody of that character to be in either.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
No. Well, James, we appreciate you coming on and telling your situation, your story. We're sorry that you had to go through that, and we definitely hope that someone hears this. We know someone knows something and knows where this guy is, and we can get him located and put where he belongs.
Yeah, that would be fabulous. That would be fabulous.
I mean, we'll know
And
sooner or later.
that you continue to make a speedy and full recovery.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping it as well. It's impacted my life enough that I've left the commercial industry, driving truck professionally. I've gotten out of it. I don't want to deal with this kind of stuff anymore. I've dealt with a lot of stuff over the years, and watching people jump from bridges and suicide in San Francisco to commit murders and murder then suicide afterwards, and truck stops and stuff like that. And I've dealt with vehicles that were stopped on traffic stops that pulled into a truck stop and was a rolling meth lab. I mean, I've seen quite a bit, so.
Yeah, I can imagine being out there on the road. Did you travel all over the United States?
Yeah, I've been everywhere in the lower 48. I've been into Canada a few times too. I've been up and down the Cassiar Highway, the Alcan Highway to Alaska. I've been in a lot of sectors and areas of the United States and Canada in general. So
awesome.
Cool.
Well, again, we thank you for being here and telling us your story and sharing that with us.
Yeah, we appreciate
My
it.
pleasure, guys. I sure appreciate your time.
All right. If we hear anything or you hear anything, get a hold of us. We'll try to get this spread out there and get the word out for you.
Okay. As I had noted with you guys previously, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department, the numbers are all there. They can be Googled or otherwise, and anybody knows the whereabouts of this individual, please don't hesitate to contact law enforcement. Or if you are somewhere and you see this individual and know for a fact it's them, don't approach them, but contact 911.
Yep. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, James, you take care.
All right, James. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.